Welcome back to the Bearded Console Gamer and to the weekly update, wherein I claw through the discarded garbage bag of news from the last 7 days and present you with the finest scraps of gaming knowledge that you need to keep you in the know. This week we'll be covering the launch of the Medium, GameStop shares, Nintendo Switch Joy-Con drift developments and sales, the Control Ultimate Edition, and so much more. And let's start with one of the biggest and most confusing pieces of news for the week, and that is the GameStop share fiasco, or revolution I guess, depending on your perspective. So you may have noticed over the last few days that almost as a single amorphous entity, games journalists seem to have collectively found their adult pants, struggled into them, and promptly started talking like they knew what the hell was happening with the stock market. Well, good news, Kimosabe. I'm about to locate my big boy pants and do exactly the same god-effing thing. So here's the story of how a group of Redditors upset some extremely greedy Wall Street types. By the way, as I explain this, there's going to be random game footage rolling in the background. Do not look for deeper meaning in the images pertaining to the words, for there is none. It all began when a group of amateur traders, or Reddit financial banditos if you will, belonging to r/Wall Street Bets, noticed that GameStop stock was not performing well, and that, more importantly, others had discovered that GameStop stock was not performing well. As they saw it, buying up the shares and driving up the prices offered them a golden opportunity to make some much needed cash and to stick it to the financial elite by wrong-footing hedge firms who were attempting to make money by shorting said GameStop stocks. Now, just in case you have yet to grow the heck up and learn how to stock market, I will now explain what that means. Short selling is essentially the act of attempting to make money by betting that shares are going to fall in price. In this scenario, a trader would borrow stock they believe was going to tank for a fee from a stock owner and then immediately sell it. Now, that stock is borrowed, not bought, so the trader is going to have to return it to the lender at a set time, come what may. So let's say that at the point the stock was borrowed and sold, that it was worth $10. Well, you now have $10, and that's great, but it could be a lot better. In an ideal world, the value of that stock is going to start to fall, allowing the trader to pick up the amount of stock they borrowed for a much lower price than they sold it at. So, say the trader who first sold the borrowed stock at $10 is then able to buy the stock back at a worth of $4, they would be able to return the borrowed stock to the previous owner and pocket the $6 difference, minus the lending fee. However, if the stock were to unexpectedly go the other way and go up, the trader or hedge fund, if you will, would still have to buy back the borrowed stocks that they'd sold. So in the scenario that we were using, if the trader sold their borrowed shares for $10 and then the share price skyrocketed to $100, they'd still have to buy it back. Only this time, when they returned the share to the actual owner, the gamble would have cost them a mean $90. But these Wall Street people, they deal in bigger numbers that include many, many more zeros. So in this kind of a situation, they'd be liable to lose untold millions. Now let's jump from the abstract into the real. In this case, the folks on the r/Wall Street Bet subreddit noticed that a number of juicy hedge funds were looking to short a large amount of GameStop stock. And in order to punish the wealthy, and for other reasons, they began a coordinated buying campaign on the GameStop shares. This sent their prices skyrocketing. And a boy has that price arisen. The Redditors managed to drive the stock up from around $18 a share at the start of the month to $329 as of January 29th. Now, some of the short sellers are starting to feel the need to buy back the borrowed and sold shares at the massively inflated price in order to limit their losses. And the only way that they can make money off this newly purchased shares is if the price continues to rise. So they've found themselves in a situation where their first position, which represents a massive investment, is banking on the GameStop shares falling, but their new investment of shares is banking on the price rising in order to mitigate these losses. In short, boy did they fuck the dolphin on this one. Obviously, this panicked a lot of people, leading to the suspension of trading on selected stocks, including GameStop, by certain brokers including Robinhood and Webull. And that's the situation as of today. Oh, and just for the time being, I'm going to be remaining in my big boy pants, which, by the way, are held up by thick, colourful rainbow suspenders, because last week also saw the release of Microsoft's financials for the second quarter of the 2021 financial year, and well, it's all been chugging along nicely. Microsoft's total revenue stands at a staggering $43.1 billion, with the Xbox gaming division also performing exceptionally well, recording a 51% growth increase over the previous year. It was also announced that Xbox Game Pass has surpassed 18 million subscribers, up 3 million from the 15 million reported back in September last year. Now these numbers are impressive, but obviously they aren't as high as Microsoft would have wanted them to be, especially judging by the stunt they attempted to pull last week by hiking up the gold membership to make Ultimate more attractive. But Microsoft probably don't need to be too worried about Game Pass numbers because they're going to see a huge bump when Infinite launches as a day one Game Pass title later this year. On that note, 343 Industries has given fans a ton of new insights into Halo Infinite in a new Inside Infinite blog post, so go feast on that smorgasbord of information over at the Halo Waypoint website this instant. Once you finish watching this video, and also once you've thrown in a like and a subscribe. Thank you kindly. Oh, also a shed load of games from the Yakuza series just made their way onto Game Pass. Now, these games aren't going to be for everyone, especially the earlier ones, but I think that every gamer needs to have at least a passing education in the franchise, so dive on in. Next up, The Medium launched earlier this week on Xbox Series X and S and came in as a day one Game Pass title. And it's been met with a solid enough critic score of 71% on Metacritic, with IGN giving the game a more positive 8 out of 10. Now, The Medium is a psychological horror game in which you take control of Marianne, a medium with the ability to observe and travel through the spirit world as she communes with the souls of the departed. As Marianne, you use your abilities to unravel the dark mystery pervading a Polish Soviet-feeling workers' getaway known simply as the Niwa Resort. I was a little bit worried about this game and what it would have to offer prior to release, but after hot-seating it with another cowardly friend over the last few days, I am completely won over. The world building is superb and the graphics are solid and very often beautiful. Also, I for one am loving the fixed perspective camera too. It throws me back to the old school Resi and even Silent Hill games. The story is creepy and compelling, and along with the world design just does a fantastic job of drawing you further into the game. The split screen rendering system is as impressive as it looks in the trailers and teasers, and simply by existing it opens up some cool perception and reality bending novel gameplay mechanics that just make a fascinating departure from the usual fare. The developer also announced that it's already made back the developing and marketing costs for the game, and that just says a lot for how Xbox Game Pass is working for the devs financially. So if you have a next-gen Xbox or a gaming PC and you're subscribing to Game Pass already, well, it's a no-brainer. You gotta go and check it out. It was also announced that Control Ultimate Edition is going to be coming to PS Plus in February, and you can imagine how much that announcement has just upset a whole lot of people. And just in case you miss all the Control controversy from last year, here's why. Back in August 2021, developers Remedy Entertainment and publisher 505 Games unveiled Control Ultimate Edition, which included the base game along with the Foundation and AWE expansions. In the blog post announcing the new version, 505 had the gall to gloat that Control Ultimate had all this amazing content in a single great value package. The scummy thing that they didn't mention until later on was that if you bought the original game, and even if you'd also purchased all the extra content, that you still wouldn't be able to upgrade to the next gen version of the game coming in 2021 unless you had the Ultimate Edition as well. So even if you had all the content and supported the game early on, you'd still have to purchase the game all over again in order to play it in next gen with better graphics. This quite rightly enraged a whole lot of people who, not being idiots, noticed other big budget studios offering their games with free next gen upgrades. Despite the terrible taste that this left in gamers' mouths, many decided to purchase the Ultimate Edition anyway, in anticipation of the next gen offering. To make the optics of this situation even worse, Control Ultimate was recently put on sale in the PlayStation Store, undoubtedly prompting more unfortunates to pick it up with a view to save a quick buck. And it's these fans who are going to be feeling left, well, betrayed by the news that Control Ultimate Edition is coming to PS Plus in February. So the developers have managed to engineer a situation in which loyal customers may have paid full price for their game twice, yet a late adopter will be able to pick up the next gen version for the price of their PS Plus subscription. That's some shady fucking shit right there. That's the kind of dirty, underhanded way of dealing with customers that completely erodes even the most passionate fans' goodwill and faith in a studio. So at this point, I'd just like to take a moment to present 505 Games with the coveted CD Projekt Red Lifetime Award for shittiness. Congratulations you guys, you did it. Give the people you scammed their money back. Also in PlayStation news, it was announced that Returnal, the upcoming title from developer Housemarque, would have its release date pushed back from March 19th to April 30th. The update, which was posted in tweet form on PlayStation's official Twitter account, stated that the decision was made to delay in order to allow the team extra time to continue to polish the game to the level of quality players expect from Housemarque. And on this channel, we love it when developers take the time to get things right instead of pushing out an unfinished, bug-ridden product. And you've got to wonder how much the shadow of Cyberpunk 2077's terrible launch is weighing on the minds of studio heads when they make these decisions. Moving on, Nintendo have found themselves under the unwanted gaze of the European Consumer Organization, which has launched a Europe-wide complaint against the Japanese entertainment giant regarding the prevalence of Joy-Con drift. Chances are that if you own a Switch, you're already well aware of this issue if you haven't experienced it yourself. But in brief, Joy-Con drift is the name given to a widespread issue with the Switch's handheld controllers wherein the analog sticks malfunction and give false inputs, causing them to drift in a set direction independent of the player's control. This renders the controllers basically useless over time, and since one of the major selling points of the Switch is the ability to play handheld, it also takes a lot of functionality away from the console itself. According to the blog post, almost 25,000 complaints have been registered with the organisation, and according to a consumer survey, in 88% of those cases, the controllers malfunctioned within the first 2 years of use. This gave the European Consumer Organisation cause to submit a complaint to the European Commission and to national groups on grounds of misleading omissions of key consumer information and premature obsolescence, which is essentially the legal term given when products are faulty in their design and break unreasonably quickly. The organisation is now calling for a Europe-wide investigation into the issue and is asking for Nintendo to be obliged to address the premature failures and, until that design issue is fixed, repair the controllers free of charge. Something which they have been doing on occasion, but it would be good to see this put into law. But it's not all bad news for Nintendo, as they too revealed their financials for the 9-month period leading up to December 31st, 2020. New titles in this period sold well, with highlights including Super Mario 3D All-Stars shifting 8.32 million units, Paper Mario The Origami King shifting another 3.05 million, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity selling to the tune of 2.84 million copies. But the star seller in this period on the game side of things was once again Animal Crossing New Horizons, which sold another 19.41 million units, bringing its total lifetime number of copies sold to 31.18 million. That puts it tantalizingly close to overtaking Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's lifetime figure, which grew by a further 8.64 million to a cumulative 33.41 million sales. And that leaves the top all-time best-selling Switch game leaderboard looking a little something like this. The numbers for the 9-month period were padded by the sales of a further 29 titles, each of which also sold over 1 million copies, with cumulative software sales totaling 176.1 million units. Finally, turning to consoles, the new report revealed that Nintendo sold a further 24.1 million units of hardware. And on that cheery note, I'm calling a lid for the week. Well, last week, because the update came out a day or two late. If you enjoyed the episode, please remember to like and subscribe and hit that notifications bell. There'll be a new episode of the update coming every week, so be sure to keep it here for the latest gaming news and goings on from around the industry.